Welcome to the loaded cannon, and man, that was a tough one to take. I've got two young boys, right? I'm a dad of two, and today was the first time I've ever admitted to one of my boys that Arsenal lost the game of football. Otherwise, kids can be fickle, right? So I just tell them Arsenal win every week. And at the end of the game, my soon, well, 4.5-year-old, he was in the kitchen and he goes, Dad, did Arsenal win? And I said, no, they didn't. And he was a bit surprised. And he goes, why not? And I said, well, do you know what? They tried their best, but one player from the other team did really, really well. He scored a really good goal. And do you know what? I think that is just the summary done. We did try our best in terms of what we were set out to do. So in terms of my analysis of this game, the players on the pitch, I really can't fault them that much. Even David Raya getting beaten, even I don't know who it was that fouled Curtis Jones. Was it Zubimendi? Even the foul for the free kick in that sort of position on the pitch, I think it wasn't a bad foul. Curtis Jones was on the half turn. Who actually Curtis Jones? I thought when he came on, he made a massive difference in terms of his positivity, how much he was looking forward and not just sort of sideways and back, which was the story of the game for me. There was not enough forward passing, not enough forward movement, not enough bravery, risk taking, and that was from both teams, but primarily Arsenal. But yeah, from both teams really. Now the thing is, when you lose a game of football to a goal like that, you kind of just have to say to yourself, fair enough, like fair play. I thought we dealt with, in terms of having a plan, we dealt with Liverpool's threats really, really well. Mo Salah was starved of space in that game. And I think there was about three occasions where he potentially had some space and should have done better. And on each of those three occasions, it was a heavy touch. And we did not let him build a rhythm in this game at all. Every single time the ball came near him, Calafiori did well, but crucially, there was always someone to double up on him. We clearly had a plan that he's going to want to cut inside. Calafiori, stop him doing it. And if you do, he's being doubled up upon. So we took their primary threat out of the game. And then after that, I just feel like the only criticism I can have of Arsenal is how how much ambition and risk Mikel Arteta asked the players to take. Because you could see when I was watching that game, you could actually see that there were times where you needed a player to sort of run slightly out of position into a hole, into some space, to provide an option to receive the ball, and we were just unbelievably disciplined. Now, on a different day, we score a goal like that. On a different day, it's 0-0. We get a free kick, and a Declan Rice wonder strike wins us the game. And on that day, you talk about the tactics and you talk about the level of risk and ambition, and you say, you know, it was perfection. It was really, really good. But today's gone against us. And I do think to myself, more often than not, when Arsenal have these big away games, we don't get that balance right. Now, you want to see a year-on-year, season-on-season improvement. And going to Anfield today, I knew that no team was going to win this game by more than one goal, right? I was very confident of that. I actually thought it'd be a score draw. Ended up looking like it was going to be a 0-0 draw because I couldn't really see where a goal was coming from. But, Arsenal are fairly reliant on set pieces. I'm going to have to be honest about that, as much as I don't like saying it, because I don't love that. I don't love watching my team play and not seeing free flowing open football. A lot of the time I'm watching Arsenal play and I'm thinking, well, it's slightly boring, to be honest with you. It's just so controlled. It's so, lacking flair and imagination and spontaneity that sometimes I do feel a bit bored watching the game. And you don't just want to win just by corners and free kicks, etc. But unfortunately, that's kind of what we're dealing with. It's much easier to accept when you have difficult away games. And look, we've had Man United away and Liverpool away, and the game that we've had at home, we've scored 5 goals. So I can sort of go into this first international break and I can say, do you know what? Fair enough, maybe. 1-0 win away from home with a corner. 5 goals at home. I know some of them, yes, not exactly all free flowing, but there was enough decent football in that game and enough open play finishes as well. And this game, I don't think we got the balance perfect in terms of how the manager set up, but in terms of a set of players following instructions, they did a brilliant job. Um, So let me know in the comments, do you agree with me in terms of how I see Mikel Arteta not setting up this team to take enough risks to go and win the game, sort of forcing them to be too systematic and too disciplined? On one hand, if we do take more risk, it means that the game will be more open, and we could have gone and lost 1-0 or 2-0. But over the course of the season, over let's say like maybe 4, 5, 6 difficult away games, I think we'd get more draws converted into victories by having a slightly more risk focused game than we would in the way that we play. And what that means is that, yeah, we might lose a couple. Let's say right now, the way we play, we might lose a couple, win one, and draw the rest. Losing a couple more and winning a couple more, overall, you're going to get more points, right? And that's where I just feel like it's not perfectly set up. We have to say though that goal was unbelievable. To beat David Raya from there, I've really got no complaints in terms of David Raya's positioning, how quickly he got across, the setup of the wall. Really, really nothing at all. That free kick was awesome. It was just the strike was amazing. The dip, the way it turned in the air. When you're beating David Raya from 32 yards and David Raya's had a good look at that, you just have to put your hands up and say, do you know what, fair play. So for me, I'm not really going to dig the team out. I'm not going to complain too much. Um, Madueke, who I have to admit, I'm not a fan of for the money that we paid for him and also what it means in terms of financially strengthening a rival. I was very frustrated with that signing, but I thought he did okay today. Not a lot of end product, but he made a nuisance of himself and showed enough promise, enough green shoots that when it's not Liverpool away, that similar sort of performance could yield a goal or assist or something like that. Eze, when he came on, I don't think was better than Madueke, and Eze was someone who I was really, really excited about, really positive about signing. And my frustration actually is that when Eze got a lucky break and was received the ball on the right side of the defenders in terms of an attacking point of view and ran into the area, he was not decisive or assertive enough in that moment. And I thought Joe Gomez did brilliantly to put just enough pressure on him, just sort of land enough contact without fouling him. But Eze had to do better in terms of getting a shot off, doing something a bit more decisive. So that was a really, really big chance. Other than that, look, we didn't really do enough in my view. Obviously, really unlucky with Saliba. Saka's not playing. Erdegaard wasn't playing for the majority of the game. With that sort of context, you can just about say like, yeah, fair enough. But we do have really good players in so many positions, and I still feel like it would have been nice to have done more. But look, it is what it is. I felt like I'm not saying this was an unfair result, but I think if you're watching that game objectively and you have to come up with the most fair result, it would have been a draw. And then we go in joint top on points, go into the international break, joint top on points in the Premier League. I felt like really that's what we deserved from the game today. But hey, maybe Liverpool showed slightly more ambition than us in the second half, as they should, because they're at home. But first half, I think we dominated them. Second half, they came into it a little bit. Tough one to take. But if you are going to lose, when you lose to a goal like that, you almost have to say fair enough. Onwards and upwards. We'll come back from the international break after, two really, really tough games. It is a difficult start to the season, and that continues after the international break. But what can you do? We're 1 point off the lead, and yeah, just have to take it on the chin. Come on, Arsenal.